Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I'm an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. Make sure to check in the description notes below the video where you will see links to all of my online shenanigans, including how to get my patterns to knit up for yourself, how to join the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group, how to support me on Patreon, and where to get Watch Barbara Knit merchandise. And there will be a whole bunch of links down in those description notes to where you can get patterns from this video's featured designer, Jimenez Joseph. It is Jimmy Knits, and this is part of my February of featured designers. It's Fave 5. But instead of picking a single topic and then highlighting 5 different designers, I am picking one designer and focusing on their portfolio and picking out 5 patterns that I think I would love to knit, or I think y'all would love to knit, or that just really tickled my fancy. And since it is the month of February, we are featuring Black designers. So we have Jimenez Joseph, and she is from the United Kingdom as far as I can tell. This is a new to me designer, and I've had a lot of fun going through her portfolio. So let's get right into it. Okay, so if there was one word that I would use to describe like the bulk of this designer's portfolio, it would be sporty, or athletic, or elegant, or clean. It's just, she has a very, very distinct design aesthetic that is a lot of fun and obviously is based on her own personal lifestyle. And this is the first one I wanted to highlight because I think it just speaks volumes, showing where, like, what her voice, my perception of her voice. Now, obviously, I'm conjecting. I do not know this individual, but I've looked at her pieces and want to share what I've found exciting with you. This is Javelin. It is a pullover, and it is knit in DK weight yarn. I have on my other monitor over here all of the information so I can tell it to you, and in the description notes below the video will be links to where you can get the pattern for yourself, either from Lovecrafts or Ravelry. I want to make sure that anybody who wants a pattern has it accessible to them. So again, it is DK weight. It calls for a US size 7 and a US size 6, which is 4.5 or 4.0 millimeter, those two. And the yardage range is from 995 to 1730, which the sizes go from extra small up to a 1XL, which is 30 inches or 76.5 centimeters up to 46 inches, which is 117 centimeters. The sample, the designer, Jimmy, used a DK twist by Madeline Tosh, but also suggests plucky knitter, plucky sweater DK, or Volmisa merino DK. So all those are really great yarns. And the explanation here is Javelin is a unisex sweater with raglan sleeves and contrasting lines that follow the sweater from neckline to hemline. It is knitted from the top down, seamless, and in the round. It contains 4 contrast color lines that are carried vertically through the length of the sweater on separate yarn bobbins. The optional waist shaping creates contour for a flattering, more streamlined appearance, which can be omitted for a relaxed fit or if knitting for a masculine body. So you can choose whether or not you want to do any waist shaping to create that body conscious shape. And it's really these lines that just jumped out at me. It is unique. It creates those panels. It gives it, again, the very, very sporty feel, and it's really cool. I wanted to show this picture because I had no idea what an actual javelin looked like, and the fact that this individual had access or has their own javelin, again, that's where I was extrapolating that Jimmy probably has a fairly active lifestyle. But here is another shot where you can see. So you've got these small but exquisite details in this pattern. You've got this beautiful solid stockinette, the ribbed hemline, the ribbed collar, and then that one small little round of the contrasting color. And then look how cool it is. That contrasting color goes down through the raglan shaping and then does that really cool thing here at the hip that really gives you a lot of waist definition and a lot of shaping. And I just think it is really, and I'm really curious how she got it to go at that angle across to create the two panels, because it looks like this one that comes up under the armpit might join with the other one. And I don't know. It is really cool. And it just really jumped out at me. Let's see what else we have. Sweater is designed to be worn fitted with little or no ease. And again, this is unusual right now because a lot of the garment designs we're seeing are much looser, and that's why this one really grabbed my eye, because it is a beautifully fitted sweater. And sometimes, I mean, a lot of us get into knitting because we want to make things that fit our bodies, and I think this is a great piece. So that is Javelin, and I just think it is really, really cool. Now, the next one, another thing. So a lot of color work, a lot of beautiful streamlined design from Jimmy, and looking at the entire portfolio, I believe that Jimmy really likes short rows. Really interesting with construction and short rows. We got cables, we got lace. I encourage you to go and click through on the link to look at her website and to look at her portfolio to see which of her patterns you think are really cool. But I thought this one was super cool. I'm going to switch to the next one over here. Look at how much fun detail is going on in this hat. We have, this is the 3-color version, and there's also instructions for a 2-color version. I'm gonna pop, but you can really see the short rows there. It actually has the pattern. It says it is contains 2 yarn weight versions. So it has instructions where you can use fingering weight yarn or DK weight yarn. And so obviously those are going to be different needle sizes. She has it listed detail wise for fingering, but obviously DK is an option. It says ShortStuff is a garter stitch slouchy beanie. It is made with short row stripes that meander, love that word, from side to side using 2 or 3 color yarns, see color with a U. That makes it fancy. To create a unique and fashionable hat. The hat is knitted sideways to a length that measures the circumference of your head, then the brim is picked up and knitted in the round. So it's got this really cool construction using the short rows and striping and these kind of, I really just think it's cool, these like wedges that she's got going in, and she's got like a variable amount of stripes because up here you can see they look more like skinnier stripes, and then the part, so that's the part coming like wedgy, and then the vertical parts, they look fatter, like they're more than four or 5 rows. So the variance in the stripes, the short rows, everything going on in this makes it for a really dynamic design and a really cool looking hat. The fingering version, you need 2 or 3 colors of fingering weight, up to 70 grams in total, with a 3mm needle, which is 2.5 in US. For the DK version, you need 2 or 3 colors, up to 102 grams in total, needle size 4.5mm or a US size 7 circular needle. And she also says you need 1 spare needle of similar or larger size for a 3 needle bind off. A crochet hook for a provisional cast on, which is optional. Waste yarn, blah, blah, blah. Pattern contains step-by-step instructions, support pictures, and links to video technique help sites. So she is going to make sure that you get through making this super cool hat. I just think it is super fun. So that is the ShortStuff Slouchie Beanie. Next up, socks. Again, I was really drawn to her more sporty design. There's really fun stripes going on here. And these socks, I love these little short socks, but what's really cool is this stripe running up the center. You've got the alternate, the contrasting color toe, this really cool stripes around the ankle, and then also the contrast color heel, and I believe it said it's an afterthought heel. So it's just, I can see wearing these. The few socks I do wear are more like this because I live in a hot environment. So these are really cute, and these are the Inline Socks. Obviously the line is there. Inline is a 2-color sporty ankle sock featuring single stitch line that runs up the center. These socks are worked in the round from the toe up using circular needles with an afterthought heel. I love afterthought heels for the ease of making them. Needle size, it says you need 2 needles. You need a 2mm and a 2.5mm, which is a 0 and a 1.5. Fingering weight yarn, you're going to want something with nylon in it because that is going to help your sock yarn survive. And you need, it's 5 sizes. That is another thing that I thought was amazing because so often socks are only in one size. 5 sizes. We've got an extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large size here. And let me see here. Circular needles, DPNs, bobbin or peg. So I think this is going to be using whatever the same technique as that was in Javelin to get that single detail line running up is going to be a separate little bobbin that you wind so that you can work with it. And it's just really cool. And it shows that Jimmy is not afraid to put in these details that take a little extra work, but just add a level of finish and finesse to these patterns that I think is really, really exceptional and I really like. So, do I have anything else about? These are socks. So the yarn they originally designed in is no longer available, but it's fingering weight yarn. You just get yourself a good sock yarn that comes in some really cool colors and you are going to have a great pair of socks. Next, a blanket. When was the last time I showed y'all a blanket? Again, with the short rows. I'm loving what she does with short rows. Now, also, this is in bulky yarn. It's called Massive Attack, and it calls for bulky yarn. You're going to need 1,320 yards in 5 different colors, I believe. Let me yes, 5 colors with a 8mm or US size 11 needle. And I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to need a pretty long cable. My hands go off the video. You're going to need such a long cable. And look at these cool short rows, what she's done with it and how they come in and kind of, it looks like to me, subduction zones, like when you have like tectonic plates hitting and one goes under. And again, she's playing with the variable in thickness because on the far side you have fatter stripes and they come down and then they have those skinnier stripes and then that little hill in the middle pushing up the mountain. That's like the whole subduction zone thing. So I just think it has a really, really cool look and these beautiful colors that she chose. But I really encourage you to go to look at the Ravelry page where you can see some of the colors that other people chose and how different, how much it affects what something is going to look like. And just in case you are questioning this massive word right here, this is a full size like blankety blanket, right? It is a big piece. So Massive Attack is a throw / blanket that's made using chunky weight yarn in 5 colors. A textured blanket with garter stitch short rows that approach the left and right flank, giving it an interesting arrangement as well as fun color changing possibilities. She has some information on color management, and so you're going to have like your main color, which here is going to be this kind of gray color that's linking all the colors together, and then the other 4 colors you're like alternating, and I am sure that the pattern has instructions for that. And so she calls for the bulky yarn she calls for is 110 yards in 112 grams. So that's 110 yards. And so she says you're going to need 4 skeins of the main color and then 2 skeins each of the other 4 colors for a total of 12 skeins at 110 yards a skein, which adds up to 1,320 yards. It's a lot of yarn, but you're making a whole lot of blanket here. The finished size before blocking was 36, which is 92 centimeters by 49 inches, 125 centimeters tall. To make the blanket wider, simply add an even number of stitches at the cast on. To make the blanket longer, just keep knitting, which is fairly obvious. So this is, blankets are really cool, and I think this one is particularly so, and a lot of fun with short rows. So you can see what was really speaking to me while I was looking at her patterns. But I didn't want to get stuck completely in a rut, so I've got one more look at this beautiful piece. I think it definitely still is in keeping with Jimmy's sporty vibe, but this is kind of kicking it up into a fancier place. But again, the way that this cut is, it's like this. The way the cut is, it's like the raglan without the sleeve part and the beautiful lace, and it is a halter, and I'm going to show you this is what the back looks like. It is just a gorgeous lightweight piece, which obviously I am drawn to because I live in Florida and I can totally see wearing something like this most of the year. So I'm going to go back to here. So this is called the Highbury Halter. And this is in fingering weight yarn. You're going to need a 3mm and a 3.5mm needle, which is a US 2.5 and a US 4. And the size, and you're going to need a crochet hook. Not real sure why, but there's a crochet hook involved. The sizes available are from an extra small, which is 30 inches or 76.2 centimeters, all the way up to a 3XL, which is 54 inches or 137 centimeters. And the little tags, there are definitely short rows in here, a schematic, a photo tutorial, all those boxes are checked. The Highbury Halter, a delicate vest top in halter neck style that is supported at the back and held together with a cord or ribbon of your choice. It is designed to be loose and flowing around the hips with a nice curve at the hem, which I don't think either of the pictures I grabbed has the curve on it, but you can visualize. Featuring a braided detail which also appears under the lace, a light summery top ideal for those balmy evenings or as a dressy top for special nights out. Okay, now it's really, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it. So between the lace of the top and then where the stockinette panel starts, there is a little braid that lays sideways at the dividing point, and that is my guess where the crochet hook is coming in, that you're going to do this little detail braid. Again, if you go to the Ravelry page for this, you can see versions that other people have made, and they've done this in a contrasting color that really makes it pop and goes back with Jimmy's whole thing with these little lines. I think it works really well with her aesthetic. So I picked this one because I could totally see wearing this one, but also it shows that attention to detail, these little tiny details that are really, really cool from this amazing designer. And yeah, crochet hook, yarn bobbin, stitch markers. So that is what you need. There's a really cool version of this, one of the projects from another knitter, where the knitter continued and made it into more of a tunic / dress top, which is really, really cool. So this is the Highbury Halter from Jimmy Knits. Now let's go back to, here we go. So I had a lot of fun exploring Jimmy Knits' portfolio, and I really encourage you to do for yourself as well. There were so many things I couldn't highlight. I made my little sneak peek video, which had a lot of really cool things, again with the short rows and really beautiful sleek design aesthetic. There's also some really interesting pieces in there where she has the same sweater, and one of them has instructions for hand knitting it, and the other one has instructions on how to knit essentially the exact same sweater, but on one of those circular knitting machines, and has like an exaggerated, you know, that last halter that I said had the braid laying down, she does the same thing, but at a much larger scale. It looked really, really cool. And again, using bobbins and using little bits of yarn to weave color in a really spare but impactful way through her design. It's really cool, and I have enjoyed getting to know this designer's work. Obviously, there's only so much that I can learn looking at it, but I looked at enough to know that I really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. So jump over, support her, maybe grab a pattern to say this is really cool. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, click that like button, and if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.